It is where float trips are a way of life, and classic cars line the streets, and Route 66 runs right through the middle of it all. Welcome to Lebanon, Missouri. That is where we're headed for today's destination, Heartland. I'm Sharon Chen with KCTV5 News. All right, so without further ado, I'm going to bring in Rebecca Ripard. Oops, try that again. Hi, Rebecca. Thanks for joining us today on Destination Heartland.
Hey,
Okay,
good afternoon, Sharon.
good afternoon to you. Okay, so let's start with this. For someone who has never been to Lebanon before, what makes it so different from, let's say, other small towns in the Ozarks?
Well, I think about that and I think about how, Lebanon is a city, so I often refer to us as a town, of course, like you say, small town. But what I think it is that we're a city, but with that small town feel. And we have a lot of different aspects, I think, that take us down that path. We have a very sweet, gorgeous downtown area that has that small town Andy Griffith vibe, if you
Uh huh.
want to come up with a saying for it. But I think that we're a city with a small town feel, and I think that actually relates mostly back to our residents, to the city of Lebanon. The people who live here, we're warm, we're friendly. I mean, our tagline is "friendly people, friendly place," as you can
Uh
see. And so
huh.
that's what differentiates us. Plus, we have access to a lot of different things that give us a little bit different aspect than a lot of other towns in Missouri.
I love that. Okay, so let's talk about Route 66 because at the top of the show, we talked about how that kind of runs through right in the middle of it all. So, what role did Route 66 play in shaping Lebanon?
Well, that's a great question because I was thinking about that earlier. And the reality is that the beginnings of Route 66, which people may know or may not know, but you're going to know now, we're celebrating the 100th anniversary of Route 66. And the great thing about that is that when it was at the inception and when people from Lebanon went to lobby in Jefferson City, and we're talking back in the 1920s, to make sure that Route 66 went through Lebanon, Missouri, as opposed to bypassing. And
Hmm.
then they took, I think, the high school band with them, and they really sold us to Jefferson City and those folks to make sure that Route 66 ran through Lebanon. They were thinking of a method of transportation, a way of getting through
Uh huh.
roads to get from one place to another. But what they didn't know that they did is they put us on the map forever with Route 66, even though it's not, we still have I-44 and you can go around Route 66 if you need. But the fact is Route 66 is iconic and it's internationally known.
Uh huh.
So what that did for us now is that gives us a huge amount of traffic that come through here just to travel Route 66, and especially right now during the centennial.
Yeah, it's such an important time right now for the Mother Road, as they like to call it. And there's so much history connected to that, too. So, what kind of aspects of that history can visitors explore when they come to town?
They can see a lot of history here when they visit Lebanon, Missouri, with regard to Route 66 for sure. The first and foremost thing that I would say is that we have a phenomenal Route 66 museum that's located in the Lebanon and Laclede County Library here in Lebanon. And you can walk through there and see how Route 66 affected Lebanon and how it formed and the path it took and the families it affected. I think that you can see how we have grown since then, but we have some of the iconic things still left in Lebanon from the beginnings. One of the things that we have is a very iconic motel, and while it still at this time doesn't function necessarily as a motel for overnight guests, the sign, the Munger Moss Motel, it is an internationally famous neon sign for that motel. And fortunately for the city of Lebanon, when the new owners purchased this property as of late, they granted the sign and the ground it sits upon to the city of Lebanon to preserve, which we have done. And we're going to actually have a lighting ceremony for it coming, I think, on June 1st. But the fact is that people come from all over the world to see that sign, take pictures with it, and we're going to make sure that at night it's always lit up for those photos that people want. And the other thing is that I don't know if your folks know this or not, but the United States Postal Service came out with stamps, 8 stamps to honor each state that Route 66 flows through. Missouri is, of course, one of them. And the stamp representing Missouri features that sign. So we are so proud of that. We have a phenomenal park called Boswell Park that has great murals from Route 66, and we just put in a new sign there. It's a signature shield sign, and that was sponsored for us by the Route 66 Centennial Commission for the state of Missouri. And that's a great sign to stop at, great for photo ops. People flow up and down Route 66 in Missouri and take those photos. So we have a lot of different things. We have Rinks Market, which is also historic on the route. And I was going to say that we also have Shepherd Hills Factory Outlet that sits on Route 66. That has been in business for well over 50 years. Another iconic business and the world's largest dealer of case knives, sitting right here in Lebanon, Missouri. So we have a lot to offer when it comes to history and things to see on Route 66 here.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that definitely sounds like it. And, you know, you hit on a lot of the attractions connected to Route 66. What are some of the other big attractions in town that families may like to explore?
I would highly recommend, I mentioned it previously, but downtown Lebanon, Missouri, we've gone through a revitalization in that area and in that zone. It is fantastic what has been happening. Now, I've only been in Lebanon for about 5.5 years, and I can tell you that the change I've seen in that small amount of time has been incredible. Businesses are flourishing, and it's really nice because businesses want to be in Lebanon, in downtown. So we've seen growth in downtown. We put in some beautiful arches at each entrance end of Jefferson Street for Commercial Street that signify, hey, when drivers are driving by and it's our most traveled road, there might be something there because they have these gigantic, beautiful arches to look at. And very soon, I understand, we're probably going to have some lights across the top of the street as well to make sure that when you're driving by, you know, there's something down there to see. So we're talking retail and boutiques and antiques, and we have some phenomenal bakeries. I have to admit, that's not always my friend, but we have some great bakeries downtown, and restaurants and coffee shops and just anything you can imagine. We've got it down there.
Oh, that sounds wonderful. When it comes to, you know, the history of Route 66, I always like to ask about museums in a lot of these towns that we explore because that's where we capture the history, right? So is there a museum in town that people can go to really kind of relive this history of the route?
I would say that definitely that our Route 66 museum captures that for sure. And, you know, one of the things I will say about that is if you do plan ahead, if you know that you're coming and if you know that that is something that you want to see, reach out to the library, or we have a Lebanon, Laclede County Route 66 Society. There are folks that have deep rooted family histories in Route 66. You know, we have members whose family donated land for Route 66 to come through. It's much more meaningful, at least for me, when I get to walk through with someone who knows personally what has gone on to build Route 66, but as well this community. And there are little pieces of history all over our community, frankly. And while we don't necessarily have a museum in place to capture all of that, I believe that the Route 66 Museum does. And again, I would encourage reaching out beforehand, maybe arranging for a time or place. They will show up. They will help you. They will guide you. They will talk you all the way through it. It is interesting. It's far from boring. As you know, sometimes museums get a bad rap, but it is a really cool thing to be able to see things in a museum and then go out in the community and find them. And it makes sense at that point. It makes sense. And it's just a great trip back in time, but it's also great to see where we've come.
Oh, and what you said right there, how, you know, some people find museums boring. I have to disagree. What I love about museums, and I recently took a trip with my brother, and he said it perfectly. He said, "You know what I love about museums? You get to learn about the area that you're visiting. I mean, that's where everything is captured from history to what's happening in the town today." I think that museums are such an important part of every community. Um, from inside, indoors, to outdoors, let's talk about recreation because I know there are a lot of nearby rivers there in Lebanon. So let's talk about what kind of outdoor activities can families dig into?
Well, first and foremost, within the city of Lebanon, I believe we have 9 city parks. So,
Wow.
and we have some trails and things as well. So I would add that definitely don't discount within the city limits the fact that we have plenty of outdoor recreation you can find, no problem. But another thing I would add is that just about 10 miles down the road, we are so very fortunate to have Bennett Springs State Park in our backyard. So when you have a state park as your backyard, things are good. So Bennett Springs State Park has pretty much all of the outdoor fun that you could want. You can hike, you can fish, you can camp, you can stay in a lodge. They have a restaurant on site. They have a great concessionaires building that you can buy your tags in, that you can shop in. Then, if you just want to go hike, you can find great scenic overlooks on those hikes, and they have them from all different lengths. And then, if you just want to sit around a campfire with your family at night, you can do that as well. But the big thing is that it is a major trout fishery, and so there's a hatchery on site. There's a nature center that would also give you the history about Bennett Springs State Park and give you some information about the park itself. I would say that in our part of the world, what we think is that on March 1st, which is opening day of trout season,
Uh-huh.
that is pretty much the first day of spring. Everybody else can say whatever that other date that it is, but we think it's the first day of spring. And while yet we still may see snow after March 1st, um, it doesn't matter to us. We go down there and trout season starts, like I said, on March 1st. They blow the siren at 6:30 a.m. It is a very early morning, but there will be thousands of people down there ready for that siren. And when it hits, they are fishing, they're fly fishing, and it is an absolute sight to behold. I have been down there in the most beautiful weather. I have been down there in snow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I've seen pretty much all the gamuts of weather when it comes to opening day of trout season, but it just adds to it, honestly. I think it's just a great element. And when I talk to people about Bennett Spring, I usually try to say, Bennett is go to Bennett just to breathe because you just get out there. And I feel like the stress levels just come down. I think that the problems that you have at the office or in life, I think for just a moment, you can just look around, be in nature, listen to the birds, watch the fish. I think that it's just a great place to go and breathe. Highly recommend.
It sounds like such a tranquil place that you can just kind of go and just like take in nature and kind of be there and be present with yourself.
That's exactly what it is. And you can hear, I think there's something so peaceful about water. I've lived on
True.
the water. I've been around water as much as I can. I think that just to hear the rippling water
Hmm.
and the river, the Niagara River run, and to watch what goes on there, not to mention if you have any kind of photo buff inside of you, it is the greatest place to take great photos. Of course, my favorite is always the fall because I
Uh-huh.
just I love the fall weather. I love fall colors. And it is one of the best places to go to get the best fall foliage footage that you could ever possibly want.
I am with you, Rebecca. I absolutely love fall. It's one of my favorite seasons around here. One of the things I always ask is, are there any hidden gem spots, places that locals know about that the tourists may not necessarily know about? Maybe like overlooks, trails, those kinds of things.
Well, first of all, I kind of think I have to not mistake the word hidden for secret because, of
Yeah,
course, I'm not going to give away our secrets.
right.
However, I would say just what I mentioned before, there are a lot of the trails at Bennett Springs State Park that will lead you to scenic overlooks where you can just look over the river. We've got some great photos of that on our website. And I think that that's just something that people might not know if they come here. Now, as far as being within the city limits and not knowing things, we have a lot of neat places. I would say I would start downtown. There's a lot of hidden gems. While we do our best to make sure that the world knows that they're there, I
Hmm.
think sometimes people overlook those things. But I also say venture out. I don't think you can get lost. I don't ever worry about when I'm driving getting lost, because the fact is that road is going to take you somewhere at some point, and you never know what you may find. So we have a lot of different things like that. Um, we have a lot of cream horns of all the things that are are special down here. Lebanon loves their cream horns, and there are a few bakeries that sell those, and they're just
Uh-huh.
fantastic. Those are the kinds of things that I think people would discover if they just came and walked downtown, walked around, drove around to see what they could see, ask questions, talk to the locals. Locals will never steer you wrong.
Oh, I love that. And at the top of the show here, we talked about float trips and we talked about fishing. Let's dig a little bit more into the float trips, like what that looks like for visitors when they come to Lebanon, but also maybe like kind of the camping scene too. What can we find there?
Well, you can find just about anything, any style of camping that you would want. So, for instance, if you're more of a primitive person, you can bring your tent, pop it up. There are several campgrounds and resorts that near Bennett Springs State Park that would be able to accommodate either one of those things, or they can accommodate your large RV. That wouldn't matter as either. You can find a place no matter what style of camping you do, because there really are many different styles of camping. I prefer the hotel style personally, but nonetheless, a nice RV is great. Uh, but you can definitely do all styles of camping down at Bennett Springs State Park. I would say, too, with regard to floating, you can either bring your own vessels, you can bring your own kayaks or john boats or whatever it is that you prefer. Or, frankly, with all the outfitters down there, you can definitely rent all of your gear, all of your equipment, your boats, your kayaks, whatever it is you choose. You want to go down the river in, they will guide you, they will drop you off, they will pick you up, um, and you can float as slow or as fast as you want. And what I mean by that is I've done some of that, and there are folks who prefer to go very, very slow, but most of them are fishermen. Fishermen, fisherwomen
Hmm.
love to go slow and fish all the holes and go on all sides of the river to catch the fish. And then there's, others who are just out for just a good time and just definitely want to see the scenery and just do a nice steady float down the river. Uh, Either way, the nice part is you get to choose. You get to choose what style of float that you have and what you're in, and you choose the way you want to be. You don't get to choose the weather. That's probably the one thing I will say that you don't get to choose. You don't get to choose weather, but you can kind of gauge it.
Yeah, say la vie. I mean, you can't have control of everything, right? I love that
Well,
though.
as much as I would like.
Yeah. Exactly. But I absolutely love all the things to do and see in Lebanon. And we still have so much to dig into. But right now, what we want to do is take a quick break and then we'll be back with more with Rebecca. So we'll be right back. All right, welcome back to Destination Heartland. Today we are exploring Lebanon, Missouri. And so without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring back in Rebecca Ripard. Hi, Rebecca. Okay, so we have talked about so many things as far as Route 66, float trips, fishing. There's so much to do there in Lebanon. Let's now talk about the art scene. So, when it comes to art, when visitors come to town, what can they find in terms of like art galleries and public murals, things to take in art?
Wow. You are asking at the most opportune moment,
Oh,
frankly.
good.
But let me start with the easiest. We have what's called the Lebanon Art Guild, and they have a storefront down in downtown Lebanon, which is again a great historic area. But the Art Guild has this great gallery you can go into, and I know that they put on a lot of classes and shows and things of that nature. So it is one of the situations where I would say if you're planning a trip, go ahead and look them up and find out what they have going on at that time. That would be to your benefit if you're just wanting to see what you might be able to participate in, for instance. The other thing I would mention is that we have several murals in downtown Lebanon. And the reason I say this is an opportune moment because right literally as we are talking, we have artist Ray Harvey creating a mural on a downtown building. And he is widely known. He's very well known in the Route 66 world. But he is putting a patriotic mural on a downtown building that is just absolutely stunning. And we're so lucky because he wasn't actually scheduled to come until this fall. And he had this week open up so he could get in early, which is right in time for a great big event we're going to have downtown on July 3rd to celebrate the A250. But he is putting that mural up, like I said, painting that as we speak. And I think that is going to be a crown jewel of downtown, one of them. But we have several others. We've had our Lebanon High School students do a piece of art on a building downtown. And then I would also say that lends to and adds to the murals that we have in our Boswell Park, which are Route 66 themed murals, and definitely sights to see. So I think you can just kind of run around town and you can find these little things. And if you want to talk about hidden gems, maybe that's part of what we have. But I'm really excited about this newest piece that's going in. And the other thing is that's funded through donations, and that, which is just incredible because our community understands the importance and sees the importance of that and having something like that. The best part is it's the backdrop for an area that we're going to be using soon for different events. So for instance, we're going to have a live band on Friday night, July 3rd to celebrate America's 250th. We're having a big picnic downtown, and we have our very own famous band, Dawson Hollett's going to perform that evening in an area right next to this beautiful mural that he's putting in. And it'll just make great photos. What can I say? It's just going to be fantastic. We're super excited. So plenty of murals around Lebanon, Missouri to go ahead and find them, take pictures of them, and just enjoy what they have to offer.
Public mural scavenger hunt. How about that? I love it. Okay.
It's like you just got my job.
Hey, how about that? Okay, so
Nice.
from the public art scene to you kind of already kind of scratched the surface on this live music. What do we have for live music in Lebanon?
You know what? We have great live music in Lebanon, and we have some new things going on that I think are really going to add to that vibe, if you will. So, of course, we have local establishments that often have, like almost every weekend, will have live music. We just had an event on last Friday evening, and it was part of a car show called the Moonshine Mashup. And we opened, the city of Lebanon had a piece of land donated to them in downtown Lebanon. And we're calling that Downtown Plaza. And it is essentially, it is a park, but we're calling it Downtown Plaza. We put a stage in there, and we put public restrooms, and it's just this great space and area where we can have events. We can put bands on stage. It has full electricity. So we had this great band last Friday night in this area, and it was a great packed house kind of situation. And it's something that also the community will be able to rent in the near future. That's all going to be through Downtown Lebanon. However, it is a great partnership that the city of Lebanon has with downtown, and we're going to make great use of that space. So it's going to be, I think that our live music scene just got that much better.
Oh, it sounds like it. I mean, with that
Yeah.
kind of, prospective venue on the horizon, that's going to be amazing. Okay, now
I think it's going to make all the difference.
what's that?
I think it's going to make all the difference for sure.
Oh, yeah, for sure. All right, now let's talk about the restaurant scene. What can we expect for cuisine when we come to visit Lebanon?
That is, that is such a hard thing. So one of the things that I tell people, and people who know me know that I say this, one of my least favorite sayings in the world is there's something for everyone, because it really doesn't say anything. There's not anything necessarily. I mean, you could get in my car, there's something for everyone there. However, we have a great variety, everything from barbecue to catfish to cream horns to all sorts of Asian food, international foods. We have a lot of international food here in Lebanon. I probably shouldn't say what my favorite is,
Yeah,
but because I don't want to get in trouble.
right.
But one of the things that we definitely have is variety. We have several, I mentioned this, bakeries. I have been amazed at the level of baked goods that we have here in town, and I'm not disappointed. Ice cream happens to be another favorite. We've
Oh,
got some pretty awesome ice cream in town too. So whether you're looking for breakfast, because we have great diners, lunch places, coffee joints. I love good coffee, and we've got several
mm-hmm.
coffee places to choose from, even some drive-through coffee places. You know, I don't think anybody's going to go hungry when they visit.
You had me at ice cream. I love ice cream, and I love like the mom and pop ice cream stores that you find in a lot of the smaller towns. Um,
We've got them.
you got them, yeah, and I'm gonna have to go there to find them. When you talk about, you know, food in Lebanon, what would you say to a foodie who comes to visit and is like, "Oh, I'm not going to find anything here. The best food is to be found in big cities." What do you have to say about that?
Wow. I would say you are incredibly wrong. That's what I would say. You have no idea. Because one of the things I think about a city, a town like ours, people care.
Mm-hmm.
The people here who, and let's just use even food trucks for an example. We have a lot of people, some former restaurateurs that have decided to give up their space and do the food truck thing. We have a lot of folks in originals, and I'm not knocking in any way any kind of chain restaurant whatsoever, because I think we need them and they're here and they're great. But I think sometimes when you have a mom and pop place, and we have a few areas I have in mind, and maybe diners, that kind of thing, they really care about the food that they create, what they're putting out there, and their reputation for it. And they know that it has to be good, or, it won't survive. But I think that one of the things I love about this area is how much people care about the food that they put out and the product they put out and how good it is. And they want to be the best. They want to be right up there in a competitive spirit, of course, but it just adds to the great variety that we have here to offer. That's how I kind of look at that. And it's fun to get to know everybody here and get that vibe from them completely, that they want to make sure that you like their food the best.
Absolutely. It's kind of the cooking with love concept, right?
Yeah, it definitely is. And it's they're very passionate. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they really, really are. And I think there's something to be respected and admired about that. I absolutely love that they care so much.
I'm right there with you. All right, from dining to shopping, let's talk about the local finds. Like, what kinds of shops in, antique stores, and, especially you talk about downtown. What kind of a shopping scene is there in Lebanon?
You know what? Shopping in Lebanon is good. And again, it's kind of like bakeries for me. Is that
Uh-huh.
really good? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a toss up. We have great shopping, and one of the things, and I'm a definite advocate. I love to shop local. If I can buy it here, I am going to buy it here. I love the fact that we have local shops, antique stores. We have boutiques. We have great boutiques, gift shops, dress shops. We have such a variety of things like that that you can probably find a gift here. What's fun is that I oftentimes, while I'm out and about doing the retail thing, and I just like to pop in stores and see what they have as of late, and see if they need my money, because they're going to get it anyway. So I might as well just be here locally spending it. But I often find things that I didn't know I needed. And I think that's a super big fun thing, because it's the best way to buy a gift. I think the best gift to buy is when you didn't really know that you needed to buy it for somebody, but you see it and you have to do it. So you can get anything from great, unique t-shirts to home decor, cards. There's a particular store in town I buy pens from. It sounds like kind of crazy, but they have the best pens, and I love them. So I don't think there's any way you can go wrong in Lebanon when you just decide to make a shopping trip. And we actually host a group of spouses from Fort Leonard Wood every year, and that's one of their favorite activities, is to just turn them loose to go shopping. And they shop. They are serious shoppers, and they find things. And sometimes it's nice to see it from somebody else's perspective, to see what it is they found. And then you learn from them, and like, well, I didn't know we had that, so I guess I need to visit there too. But it's a great variety of stores. I'm amazed at the level. Again, a very other passionate group of people. You know, you take a boutique owner, a store owner, in a bakery owner here in
Mm-hmm.
Lebanon, they're very passionate about what they're doing and they promote themselves well. They do a great job of putting themselves out there, putting their products out there. It's a constant thing that I'm seeing in social media, and it's working because again, they do see some of my money. Not gonna lie, so I'll just continue to work so I can spend in their businesses.
I mean, the best finds are found in local shops for sure. Let's talk a little bit about festivals and seasonal events because I know you talked about there are big ones coming up for America's 250th, but I know you guys have some annual ones on the calendars too that you can share.
Well, again, great timing. And I kind of mentioned we were talking about the live music scene
Uh
before, and
huh.
I thought, oh, I forgot to mention that, but this is the segue for me.
Okay.
Yes, of course, we've already had an event to celebrate the America's 250th, and we hosted the city of Lebanon hosted Diamond Rio. We had a concert a couple weeks ago. It was free to the public. It was fantastic. And we are so excited to be able to do those things. We take it very seriously. We want to celebrate America's 250th. So we have a couple of other events in in the waiting here that we're going to be doing. July 3rd, we're going to do a big picnic downtown. And then we're also going to do a major fireworks display on July 4th, and that's going to be based out of our airport. So we're shutting down the planes and we're going to light the sky up anyway. So that's going to be fantastic. Now that's A250, but I will tell you that our annual, those are kind of one and dones, but our
Mm-hmm.
annual festivals that we have going on, the big one coming up is June 5th and 6th. We have an annual Route 66 festival. So
Oh.
our Lebanon and Laclede County Route 66 Society hosts and puts on a festival every year. This is an annual event. It is usually just a 1 day event, but for the centennial,
Mm-hmm.
it is a 2 day event. And they did receive, I will say, they received sponsorship funds from the state's Route 66 Centennial Commission. And this year's festival is actually sponsored by the city of Lebanon. And they turned it into a 2 day so that on Friday night, June 5th, they're going to have the concert with Asleep at the Wheel, which is a very popular Route 66 band. I think it's going to be very well attended. That is, of course, free. And then that is in our Boswell Park, which is our Route 66 theme park. And we have a little amphitheater out there, and I think it's just going to be fantastic. And then on Saturday, June 6th, they have their actual festival where it begins with a classic car parade, and then the cars line up in the park, and then there'll be vendors. There's a kids zone. There'll be face painting. There's a foam party. There's always music playing. It is just, I think they're having a wing eating contest too. I
Oh.
can't remember. I can't remember what they're calling it, but they've got a really catchy name for it this year. So I think they do giveaways every hour of $66, and it these folks, the Route 66 Society here is just an amazing group of people. They work their fingers to the bone. They want to make sure that we preserve and hopefully gain some interest in Route 66 from the younger generations, so we don't forget about how important that is to us. But that is the main thing coming up here in June. I would also mention we have a great lineup of events and things that happen here in Lebanon. I'm sitting in a civic center that has a 46,000 square foot exhibition hall,
Mm-hmm.
lots of events there. The other thing we do, one of the other big things is called Christmas on Commercial, and that we
Oh.
do in December, and I think it's the second Friday in December. That takes place in downtown Lebanon. We shut the street down, and we have all the stores stay open, and we have food trucks at what we call the market, and lots of different things going on. But right in the middle of that festival that evening, we have a lighted UTV parade. We call it Light Up Lebanon Lighted UTV Parade. And that is absolutely spectacular. Last year, I think we had over 140 entries in that parade. So everybody gets their UTVs out, decorates them to the hilt. It is just the best time. And fortunately, we haven't had truly miserable weather yet. And I just don't think we will because I don't order that. However, um, we do a lot of things like that in town and around that. Done a lot of annuals. Those are probably our biggies, but there's no lack of things to do. We have two great racetracks of all things. We are so fortunate in our town that we have a dirt track and we have an asphalt track. And in the summer season, they're always busy doing things. So we just have a great variety. But those annual festivals coming up, I think, are going to be huge this year.
Oh my gosh, it sounds like it. So I always ask this question, and I'm always told this is the hard question, which is what is the best time of year to come to Lebanon? I mean, you guys have something year round, it sounds like.
The best time of year. Well, you're right. That is the worst question ever.
It's hard to answer because it sounds like you
It's,
guys, there's always something happening there.
I think that my answer would be I feel like the best time is several times a
Okay.
year. That's
Hmm.
probably the best thing to do. You could come once per season. Let's just go with that. 4 times a year. You could go once per season. You could look at our calendar, see what we have going on. And I mean, spring, summer, winter, fall, we have something. So we obviously know, uh, we've got the summer, we can consider it our June event with our Route 66 festival. We've got a lot of boutique crawls that go on as well. I don't know that there's a best time.
All right.
I naturally think all times are good. I do, though, I do lend to be partial to a little bit cooler weather. And I don't care for the blazing hot summer,
Hmm.
but boy, the people who float and camp love it. So I think it's great for them. I think it just depends upon your preference. If you like cold, come on down. We'll entertain you no matter what kind of season we've got going on.
Ah, good answer. Good answer. All right, Rebecca. Well, thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Destination Heartland. We have got to get out to Lebanon because it sounds like a wonderful place to visit.
We would absolutely love to have you visit. Please come and see us.
Well, that does it for our virtual trip to Lebanon, Missouri. Hope you had fun. And until our next trip, I'm Sharon Chen with KCTV 5 News.